Hello and welcome to Security Weekly News. I'm Dr. Doug White. Oh, wait, no, I'm not. Shit, I always get that wrong. I'm Josh Marpet, and I'm here today with Aaran Leyland, and we're going to be talking about all kinds of topics from ways for Apple to screw up taxes, to AI, to more AI, to some more AI probably. But along the way, we're also going to cover various different things about AI. Well, never mind. You'll figure it out as we go along. So, welcome to Security Weekly News.
This is a Security Weekly production for security professionals by security professionals. Please visit securityweekly.com/subscribe to subscribe to all the shows on our network.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
It's the show that keeps you up to date on the latest security news twice a week. Your trusted source for accurate security information and expert analysis. It's time for the Security Weekly News. Ransomware, supply chain attacks, 0 days, cyber threats don't wait, and neither should your defenses. With ThreatLocker, you're not just reacting to threats, you're stopping them before they start. Our Zero Trust endpoint protection locks down your environment with pinpoint control over what's allowed to run and what's not. No guesswork, no blind spots, just proactive, built-for-now security that keeps your business moving. Want to see how a true default deny strategy works? Head over to securityweekly.com/threatlocker and take the first step towards shutting the door on threats before they even knock. Ever feel like your network infrastructure is stuck in the past? Meet Meter, the company reimagining what it means to get and stay online. Meter delivers full-stack networking, wired, wireless, and cellular, all in one seamless, scalable, and secure solution. From hardware design and firmware to software, deployment, and support, Meter streamlines every part of your network while giving you all the control and transparency you need. Whether you're managing a branch office, retail stores, or a massive data center, Meter gives you performance, reliability, and the visibility you need to stay in control. Thanks to Meter for sponsoring. Go to securityweekly.com/meter to book a demo now. That's securityweekly.com/meter, METER.
Okay, let's start Security Weekly News and get the ball rolling with a wonderful story. I think this is absolutely heartwarming. AWS is putting down an undersea cable between the US and Ireland. It's going to be a 320 terabit cable, which is amazing, which means that we can actually extract Aaran's soul and push it across from Ireland to the US in under a second. That's if he has a soul. He is ginger, so maybe not. But anyway, the cable is going to be buried 1.5 meters under the ocean floor, so that and armored with steel armor, steel wire armor, so that and they put this in the article. This is what I love about this, so that ships' anchors or deliberate sabotage will be thwarted. And I'm thinking, wires get cut. So I suppose that what we're going to see is the world record. How fast can somebody cut that sucker? We'll see what happens. I love the fact that they're having to bury the cables undersea to keep anchors from cutting them, to keep people from cutting them, to keep sabotage away. I think it's awesome that they've put this cable in so that Apple can actually evade the tax man even faster by switching their taxable burden between the US and Ireland. I think that's awesome. It's incredible. But I thought that Apple would do that themselves, not ask AWS to do it for them. What do I know? Anyway, the cable is going to be really interesting because Ireland obviously is a very big partner of the US in a lot of tech factors. There's a lot of actual tech support and help desks in Ireland. There's a significant amount of financial institutions that have Irish branches, I guess is the right word. And so this cable is going to very strongly influence the operation of those systems. And of course, because AI is the flavor of the day, it's also going to make AI availability in Irish data centers, which AWS has just a couple of Irish data centers. It's going to make it much faster to get that data across and back and forth. So Fastnet, the 320 terabit cable. I mean, honestly, 320 terabits is kind of exciting right off the bat. That's really interesting to see how they're going to manage that kind of bandwidth in an undersea cable with no resources the entire way across the pond. But hey, very cool. So let's talk about some others. This is actually one of my only non-AI stories. This is really cool. The Department of Justice actually accused U.S. ransomware investigators and negotiators of launching ransomware. So there's actually 3 people that are being charged by the Department of Justice who they worked for various firms, Signia and Digital Mint. These firms did the negotiations. So if you got ransomware, you could use Digital Mint to pay the Bitcoin for you and do the negotiations. Well, it looks like they were slow on business, so they decided to drum up some business by actually launching ransomware against companies. I'm not sure, but I think that goes against most of our ethics codes. I don't know. Maybe it's me, but I think that that's probably not the most appropriate way to do business. I'm thinking that they probably should have done it a different way. But they actually are charged with, I think it's 3 counts of launching computer hacking and extortion. That's ransomware, of course. And a incident response manager, which is hilarious if you think about it, from a company called Signia as part of the scheme. So they were using the ransomware developed by the ALPHV, the Black Cat group, and not Black Hat, Black Cat. So Halloween, incredibly appropriate. But the ALPHV group, if you recall, is the exact same one that used the SEC disclosure law by actually threatening companies, if you don't pay the ransom, we will notify the SEC that we ransomwared you. And they actually did. They actually sent in the notifications to the SEC. And in the box where it said, hey, how do you know that there was a cybersecurity incident? Because we infected them with ransomware and took down their systems, is what they wrote, which is just beautiful. You can't get more honest than that, can you? So these gentlemen stole the ransomware or took the ransomware. Wait, is that a theft? If you steal something illegal, is that a theft? I'm not sure. But anyway, they took the ransomware that the ALPHV ransomware group developed or were using. They launched it against, I think it was a half a dozen clients, and they actually got several of those clients to pay them. They made about $1.2 million each from these attacks, which is probably slightly more than their salaries. So I get it. Of course, they'll never be receiving those salaries again because any cybersecurity group that hires them is, well, stupid. Let's be honest here. You get one issue of credibility in this business, and when it's gone, there's no reset button. Sorry. So they are currently being... I'm sorry. I'm lying. They made $1.2 million from one victim, a medical device maker in Florida. They targeted a Virginia-based drone maker and a Maryland-headquartered pharma company. That's kind of terrifying. So they found out about it. They're companies, and the companies released them immediately. As soon as they got indicted, they were fired, which is appropriate. And those companies have to perform some, reputational damage control because this is just terrifyingly bad. Can you imagine if your employees were releasing ransomware and you're a security company? That's god awful. I don't even know how we'd phrase it. Hey, HR, we need to release these guys. Why? Well, they were releasing ransomware against other companies. That's typically wrong. That's going to be a bad report to the board. There's a new one coming up that is a SOARCA tool. That's SOARCA. SOARCA is an automated security, so it's a SOAR tool, security orchestration, automation, and response tool that is now been open sourced. Now it's from, I found this from an article in VAR India, which is an Indian newsletter for value-added resellers. But apparently this company, OpenCert, released this tool to do all of these different things. It's open source, open standard tool. And TNO was the company that built it. Security Orchestrator for Advanced Response to Cyber Attacks, SOARCA. It has the Open Playbook Standard. It has orchestration. It has API, Python library built in. So you can build your own stuff. Honestly, for smaller companies, one of their biggest problems is not being able to respond automatically and effectively. I think that small companies just really are in trouble because they cannot afford the people to perform the manual responses, and they don't have the people to build out the automated responses. So the idea of having an open source automation and orchestration tool, brilliant. Love it. I'm really eager to see where this takes smaller companies. And by smaller, by the way, anybody less than, I'm going to say 1,500 people is technically, actually, the SBA says that small is less than 2,000. I know there's 50-person companies and 10-person companies and 5-person companies going, we're over here too, dude. And yeah, we see, I promise. But it's tough. So with open source tools to help them build out playbooks and help them build out responses and an API connection that apparently is very easy to connect up to your switches, your routers, your firewalls, etc. It's something that can, I hope to see a community rise up around it, like much like Security Onion. And I'm honestly curious to see if Doug Burks pulls this into Security Onion, and I think he should. And that would be incredibly cool. So Doug Burks, anybody want to ping him and tell him he should take a look at that? So SOARCA, Doug, pull that into Security Onion. Orchestration and response in Security Onion? Who would get excited about that? This dude. I have a couple of Slashdot articles. And the reason I have the Slashdot articles is very simple because they reference a lot of other articles. And I wanted you to get all the references. I really did. So my first one there is about AI Studio. Google had the open source Gemma AI model in there. They were pulling that and they didn't say why. So I did a little finding out why they did that. Turns out that there was a Senator Marsha Blackburn, the Republican from Tennessee, said that it generated false accusations of sexual misconduct against her. So she actually published a letter, one of those open letters, to the Google CEO and said, hey, you have to explain how it can fail in this way. So it's a problem. Apparently, AI hallucinations are very well known. I mean, we all know about AI hallucinations. It's nothing new. There may be some poisoning of the data or the model in this sense that some conservatives believe that it is poisoned against them specifically. I have no knowledge of what's going on there, whether it's true or not or whatever, but they are definitely going after these models. So Senator Blackburn, went after Gemma because apparently it went after her pretty seriously and accused her of sexual misconduct. They did not rate this as a reason or list this as a reason for why they were pulling it from AI Studio, but given the timing, one can only assume that it had to have been at least a part of their reasoning, shall we say. And the question was asked, has Marsha Blackburn been accused of rape? And Gemma hallucinated a drug-fueled affair with a state trooper involving non-consensual acts. I'm not laughing about that. It's horrifying. However, the fact that it was able to hallucinate something so interesting when there is absolutely no evidence, as far as I can tell, of anything related to that. Wow. It's bad. And so one thing we should know is that hallucinations are terrifying. And if you haven't seen the hallucination articles about lawyers using AI to write their motions and getting censured by judges, believe me, it's something you should read. They are terrifying, hilarious, and frightening to see how bad it's going to be and how bad it already is. And speaking of Gemini, Apple is paying Google to create a custom Gemini-based model that's going to be Siri. So if you've ever talked to your phone, no, not you, be quiet. Sorry, my phone's asking me, what do you want? If you've ever talked to your phone and had it answer and had it in the dulcet tones of Siri, whether the South African, Australian, English, Irish tones that Aaran is so familiar with, Siri will no longer be simply an assistant. Oh, dear God, stop it. It activated again. Siri will actually be a full LLM with full LLM capabilities. Does that mean you're going to have to watch what you say even more? Potentially. Does that mean that it's not active? Does that mean that it will buy you a dollhouse, referring to the famous Alexa story? Very possibly. There are things that we're going to have to be careful of as we say things around our phones. Not that anybody's listening, they are, but because there was sort of a joke, but it's not really. So Siri, the testimony from AI assistants, AI in this case, because Google Assistant and Siri and Alexa are not actually LLM backed yet, has been subpoenaed in several court cases. So what you say around them is potentially part of a record, a public record, if it's subpoenaed. However, when you back them with a full LLM, will it enhance or in fact hinder? I'm not certain, and I'm absolutely certain that it's going to be fascinating. And I'm also absolutely certain that I'm not sure which way it's going to go. So once this happens and Siri is a full LLM, I am absolutely positive it's going to be, well, we're going to have to do a lot of learning about how to handle that. All right. So that's supposed to be, I think, next year, and we'll see what happens. In lighter news, the Internet Archive, the Wayback Machine, the all of the wonderful, wonderful, wonderful things that we've seen there, from handling books and videos and Mr. Rogers. They have great archive of Mr. Rogers shows. I've been downloading them for my kids. All the wonderful things the Internet Archive does. About a week and a half ago, they archived 1 trillion web pages. They hit their trillionth web page. That's really cool. Now, luckily, they got to their trillionth web page without any lawsuits because they'd settled all of them. But if you've been following the Internet Archive and the Wayback Machine and all the different archives that they run ridiculous amounts of archives. They've had a lot of problems. They got sued for music. They got sued for books. They got sued for research. They got sued for just about everything you can imagine. And they've been settling those suits. Now, right now, they have no lawsuits pending, as far as I can tell. However, the wonderfulness of archiving 1 trillion web pages. Now, first of all, we have over 1 trillion web pages? Dear God, we have what, 8 billion people on this planet? 9 billion people on this planet? How do we have 10 times as many web pages as people on this planet? It's crazy. But, considering that there's people with 30,000 websites about their pet spiders or whatever, I suppose it's possible. Anyway, so the 1 trillionth web page has been archived. Lovely. The lawsuits have been settled. Again, lovely. And so far, so good. Okay. And here's to them, and here's to hoping that they make it another, how long have they been around? 20 years, 30 years? God, they've been around forever. Speaking of things being around and disappearing, have you seen CAPTCHAs recently? CAPTCHAs have been disappearing. So you remember, hey, you got to slide this thing over. You've got to pick out every car in this grid of 9 pictures or whatever. And just to be clear, you know that none of them are actually caring whether you pick all the buses in the pictures or not. They actually check your browser to see where you've been, what you've been doing. They look for clues as to whether you're a machine or a person. It's not as simple as asking, are you a robot? Because robots can now answer that question. It's checking the behavior of what you've been doing. And honestly, the problem is that LLMs can beat those CAPTCHAs. So what's going on is that they don't actually have CAPTCHAs anymore. CAPTCHAs are much more rare than they used to be. All right, so what's happening? Well, they're just directly navigating through your browser. They're just directly checking your browser to see if your behavior is that of a machine or that of a human. Can we train an LLM to behave like a human? Move the mouse in random motions, touch the keyboard, hit a couple of keys, like your cat walked across it, go to various web pages ranging from, panda porn to whatever. Not that I would ever look at panda porn. Never. But yeah, you can train an LLM to do that. If that's the case, are CAPTCHAs or this idea of behavioral analysis worth a damn? That's a really good question. I don't know. Because here's the thing. If behavioral analysis can be defeated by training a machine to behave like a human, can behavioral analysis be broken? I would have to imagine so. If that's the case, this challenges the entire existence of UEBA, user and entity behavior analysis. Now, events and logs can still trigger UEBA, right? I think that's fine. But anything beyond that, well, that's a little worrisome. So if we look at the behavior of a web browser or a laptop, if I can train a machine to be a little random, a little off time, instead of hitting precise time hits, instead of following a precise trail through web pages, randomize it a little bit, add a little entropy in there. If I can do that, and you can with LLMs, this is going to challenge some of the biggest security features we have these days. Behavioral analysis, heuristics, whatever you want to call it. That's interesting. I wonder what's going to come next. And there are a couple more stories. We've got OpenText. There's a company called OpenText. They launched a new cybersecurity capability to create a trusted foundation for AI. So back to AI, we've literally got companies that are building defense frameworks and defense suites for auto remediation of AI, for auto encryption of the prompt and the response, for identity defense, just about everything. And so they're becoming a one-stop shop for the defense of the AI and the defense of the people with the AI. So it's a fascinating idea that we need these things. Now, I don't know about anybody else, but in terms of other companies doing it, but there's a significant amount of problems when you think about the fact that we need a suite of products to protect an AI and to protect people from the AI. It almost seems like we should be, I don't know, being careful with AI and thinking about how we use these things. It's going to be interesting. So OpenText wants to have they want to give people the speed of AI without sacrificing security. I'm good with that. I'm actually okay with that. But if you simplify identity and access and do secure software delivery powered by AI auto remediation, I think they're putting a little too much faith in it, at least this year. Maybe next year it'll be different, but we'll see. Speaking of faith, I want to point out that I have incredible faith in the people around me. I happen to be incredibly lucky to have some wonderful friends. And one of the people who is my friend, and I think he's an okay dude, at least on alternate Thursdays, is a gentleman named Aaran Leyland. And I'd like to introduce him now for his story of the day.
Hey Josh, how's it going? I'm so sad
good.
I'm so sad you're not on a beach. Why aren't you on a beach?
Not this week. Not this week. It's a little chilly over here.
Do you know I started this show with 700 words and it got to 900 during you talking, so I should probably dive into this. And I'm really,
All yours,
really
brother.
busy at work and I'm literally hiding in an office and need to go back to work. Don't tell my boss. Anyway, right. Okay. Today's professional commentary, because we all know I love a report. Cybersecurity assessment from Bitdefender, whoever they are. Nah, we love Bitdefender. Do we? They're cool. Okay, right. So as you'll know, this week, 3 US cybersecurity professionals were charged with getting involved sort of in black hat ransomware ops against American companies. Josh even spoke about it. So not all bad guys in a foreign basement. This is obviously people who held day jobs in our industry, obviously learned everything they know from Josh and Dr. Doug, but moonlighting is extortionists, right? And do you know what? I'm sure we have all thought about this, haven't we? How easy would it be to do a little bit of ransomware? It's so easy. But, right, me and Josh, too pretty for jail. Look at him. Far too pretty for jail. Don't put me in jail. Anyway, so this segue lands squarely, kind of, on what the Bitdefender assessment flagged. The real exposure isn't shiny malware, it's legitimate tools and authorized pathways driven into the wrong hands. They find that most major intrusions lean on log in, not break in, the coin of phrase. And leaders like you good people, maybe the answer is to cut down what people and machines can do by default. Also worth lacking in the report, there's trends, isn't there? Too many teams still lack visibility and are short on automation and are burning out. It's literally my whole life. Okay. But this is the conditions where insiders and quiet operators thrive. Okay, next segue. And I added this bit while Josh was typing. Didn't the guy that invented Segway drive a Segway off a cliff and die? Did I make that up? I might have dreamt that.
No, that's correct.
That's true.
Yeah, Dean Kamen.
That is, there you go. This is why you're the main host today, because you're smarter than me. Okay, right. CISA moved again on the actively exploited bugs. They added VMware tools, array operations, and the XWiki to the KEV list, with reporting that the VM path has been used by China-linked operators for months. So if you run vSphere estates or host management tooling in environments, you should probably treat guest ops and telemetry agents as a high trust boundary and get amongst that, because we haven't got enough to do. And CISA also reminded federal teams in mid-October that F5 Edge gear needed emergency attention. F5. But on Google, like endpoints, Google November Android Bulletin apparently fixed a no-touched RCE in the system component. And as Doug explains to everybody, that's the really bad one, right? Remote code execution that's like NSO Group and stuff. That's what they pay $1 million for. Anyway, it's like BYOD Android that touches Mail, Slack, and IDP. It's like you need to patch that stuff and make sure your MDM actually enforces protections against it. But anyway, what this all does, it harps back to the report and it matches what attackers, foreign, domestic, are preferring existing trust. They'll take credentials, session cookies, device management channels, hypervision tools, and edge appliances, because this is all the living off the land stuff. Look, it's like if you're an APT, you're not going to want to use your really cool equity just to root around and stuff. If you can hide in the noise and not burn that equity that you're saving for when the big war comes, you're going to do that, aren't you? And so this isn't your usual patch faster, use MFA lecture, even though I love aggressive patching. It's nearly my favorite term. Right, you need to tighten guest op permissions on VMware tools, cut zero auth sprawl in your tenant. Um, look at your F5 stuff. But like the Android stuff, like I'm like, and they're on about sort of governments and stuff and using these Android phones and that. It's like that famously really secure Android infrastructure that's way better than Apple. Well, put it this way, right? If you look how much zero code Android hack sort of piece of malware is, it's a lot less than it is for an iPhone. So that should probably tell you anything you want to know about it. But right, importantly, and some would say most importantly or more importantly, because this today brings it up, insider risk. Look at separate change approval from change execution for high-risk actions like backups, policy edits, EDR, disabled hypervision snapshots. You need to log to a system that operators can't touch. And look, importantly, require a second human or a break glass token with a reason code for these moves. This week's indictments, these were trusted people in our industry, people that maybe thought they were going to make some money and didn't, because they're going to jail. But look, everybody has their price. Maybe. Yes. Anyway, right. Shrink what there is as well. Look, turn off PowerShell remoting. Look at allow lists. Don't hit things with GPO sledgehammers. Do it by a group and prove that it doesn't work and break operations. I'm going to mention a little bit about the Core 4 theme because this is what I've been beating on for weeks, and the report does go into this. China continues to use low noise access and long stays. The VMware and CISA flag stuff bring this up. It's like move in undercover under the estate. Right. Look, some of the things reports, I'm just going to finish on this. Culture, don't keep incidents quiet. Speak to your comms and legal teams. Have pre-baked thresholds and timelines so you aren't arguing in the boardroom about how you're going to report this. And something that is really important, because I'm on the edge of it all the time, just burning out. So look at automation, and if you're going to buy something, look at taking away manual low-level tasks for a human. Give them something interesting to do. Give them something exciting, not another dashboard that's going to take up their time. Anyway, back to Josh, looking really cool with his fancy colors behind him and his lovely shirt. Back to you, Josh.
My lovely first shirt out of the closet this morning. Thank you. And I got to tell you, Aaron, what you're saying is very legitimate. The ransomware is on the decline now. Info stealers are on the increase because they're trying to log in, just like you said, not break in. And it's a real problem. As if we don't control access and if we don't lock down, wait, what was that thing called? Oh, least privilege.
Need to know,
Dual
least
control.
privilege, dual control, yeah.
Like change management. Oh my God, things we've been talking about for literally IBM has binders on this from the 50s. Okay. Yes, that's what we should be doing. And it's not just because we want jobs. We want jobs, but it's because it's the right thing to do. Thank you, Aaron. Appreciate that. And in the last story, the UAE sovereign launch pad. So if you've ever done any work with the Emirates, they have a new system with support from AWS and the E ampersand. I don't know how to pronounce that. To do a UAE sovereign launch pad. It's a secure, compliant, locally managed cloud platform. So they're going to be in the UAE, and it's for AI, back to AI, and for cloud adoption across government and regulated industries. So you now have a Middle East cloud platform that is available for AI startups as well as highly regulated companies. I can't speak today. Highly regulated companies to site their Middle East work in. And that's pretty cool. And the Emirates, as I understand it, are pretty nice to work with in terms of data sovereignty and in terms of being very technically up to par. There are certain idiosyncrasies of any Middle Eastern country, of course, but they do a really good job. And since they have AWS advising them and really putting a lot of their stuff in it, I think it would be pretty good. It's actually hosted in AWS Middle East and managed by the E ampersand enterprise. So they've got a really nice zero trust everything for anybody in the Middle East. I think it's fascinating that we're seeing that the Middle East is really ramping up their cloud adoption and their AI adoption. So I'm fascinated to see what comes of that. And I'm fascinated to see the security interesting things that happen because of it. Hopefully they do things like, least privilege, patching appropriately and everything else. Considering it's a zero trust security, with in-country key management and automated compliance reporting, this is appropriate. These are the things we should be doing across all of what we're doing. All right, Aaron, thank you so much. And thank you, everybody, for stopping by at Security Weekly News, episode 326, this day of Tuesday, November 4th. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you, and that's the news.